Thanks very much for coming this afternoon, and welcome to the second in our three-part webinar series on our new C-suite of reports. I'm Anthony Stanowski. I am the president and CEO of CAHME. So just as a reminder to everyone, this webinar is being recorded and it'll be available on the CAHME website sometime next week. During the call, ask that you remain muted. Utilize the chat feature to ask questions as we go through. We'll have time for the Q&A at the end of the presentation. So today I'm excited to introduce you to the next group of reports in our expanded C-suite capabilities. And we've come a long way in our annual report process over the years. As you all know, the annual report process is absolutely critical for CAHME. It's what we have to do as an accreditor. We have to make sure that our programs are continuing to meet our accreditation standards and are continuing to meet the needs of your students. We make the data publicly available on our website through our advanced search tool. And we also really hope that you get to use this data in a way that becomes a meaningful way for you to make improvements and enhancements within your own program. Our investment in this program over the years has come and has been very significant. We've tried to create additional capabilities within the reports and additional tool sets and additional ways to kind of look at the data, really to help you enhance your performance. Some of you know, we're going to look at today two reports. The tool that used to be known as CARB, the CAHME Annual Report Benchmarker, we rebrand it so it makes more sense to people as C Benchmarks. And we also have an additional tool called C Trends. These two tools we think will help you kind of focus on process improvement and understanding where the market is going. The C Trends report is going to show you right now a 3-year trend of the data, and eventually, after the new report cycle is over, will be 4 years at that point. Both C Trends and C Benchmarks include all CAHME accredited programs, all CAHME certified programs, and all CAHME candidate programs. So anyone that submits data to CAHME can access these tools. It also includes programs who are just ready for eligibility. And we believe that this is a way for these programs to begin their process improvement journey. The point is, you have to submit data to get data. You have to submit data to get data. If you don't submit data, then the data is not available to you. Other than that, the C-suite is free. It's completely free as part of your process of being a CAHME accredited program or in process of being CAHME accredited program. Again, the only limitation in that is you have to provide information to get information. So with that, let me turn it over to Stacy Rowan, who is our Associate Vice President of Information Technology, who'll go through some of the details of the tools and how to run it. So Stacy.
Thanks, Anthony. So CAHME's goal with the C-suite of reports is to help our programs create a mission-focused, data-driven strategic plan. And these reports, of course, are only going to be one piece of that puzzle of your program's strategic plan, but we believe that the data that we are providing to you will give your program great insights that you will find valuable in this process. So the C-suite is comprised of these 5 reports here, and we will be focusing just on the 2 that Anthony mentioned, C Benchmarks and C Trends. And in the next session, the last session of this 3-session webinar series, we'll be looking at C Peers as well as a way to kind of put all of these reports together and gain insights from them. So again, Anthony mentioned C Benchmarks was previously known as CARB, if any of you are familiar with that term. And this report allows you to compare your data from your program's annual report to the data of a user-defined group. And then the C Trends report is going to show a 3-year trend of annual report data, again, for a user-defined peer group. And as Anthony mentioned, next year we'll be moving into a 4-year trend. By the end of this series, you will see how to put all of these reports together to support your program's strategic planning process. Each one of the series that we are doing, these webinars, will focus on a section of this wheel. And by the last webinar, the next one, I will show you how to put all of this information together for your analysis and planning. Our first webinar looked at faculty analysis, specifically C-Faculty and C-Comp, and the recording of that presentation is now available on cahme.org/webinars. As mentioned, this session is focusing on the two highlighted reports, and the final session will introduce you to a new report, C-Peers, which is going to show you the top 10 compared programs to your program based on the public users of CAHME's advanced search tool. This beta will help you identify your peer groups by showing what programs students are comparing your program to on CAHME's advanced search tool. And we will show then how that data will be the catalyst to running the C-suite of reports. So if you haven't yet, make sure you register for that final session. I'm going to start with this visual as a refresher to show you how your program's annual report data is used to generate these reports. So CAHME's annual report editor, is also known as CARE, is where the programs enter their annual report data on a yearly basis. Located within CARE is the CAHME annual faculty editor, which is also known as CAFE. CAFE is where individual faculty profiles are created that give details on each of the faculty that teach within your program, including things like faculty status, gender, race, contract length, etc. The data that is entered within CARE and CAFE is what is used to generate the reports within CAHME C-Suite. And your data entry into CARE is what opens the doors for you to access the two reports we will be reviewing today. Depending on the state within the CAHME lifecycle that your program is in, there are annual report completion requirements that need to be met, but they are different for each one of the stages. So for example, as a CAHME candidate program, you must have completed 1 year of annual report data for all sections within CARE to receive access to C benchmarks and C trends. Regarding access to the specialized faculty reports shown in the bottom half of this chart, we covered that in the previous webinar. So if you have any interest in looking at that, take a look at the previous webinar that we recorded. So the C-suite of reports are all housed within the CARE portal. And once you submit an eligibility statement to CAHME, that gets received by Michelle Petruccelli, and she is CAHME's manager of accreditation operations. She will provide you with CARE access. The CARE portal can be found in our login hub on our website, www.cahme.org. Once you are logged into the CARE portal, you will see this page with your program's logo rather than the CAHME accredited logo that you see here. At the top of this page is the drop-down for the C-suite reports. And upon selecting the drop-down, the list of C-suite reports will appear. If your program does not have access to a particular report, it will be grayed out. All programs who have met the annual report requirements at this point should have been granted access to C benchmarks and C trends. After this webinar, if you should have any questions regarding permissions to these reports, please reach out to either Michelle or myself. You may be wondering what the numbers in the parentheses are after these reports, and that is the count of times that each of the reports has been run by your program. So in this case, the C benchmarks report has been run by this program 18 times. So the first report we're going to look at today is C benchmarks. The filtering selection for this report will look familiar to some of you, as it's a filter selection that you will see within a few of the C-suite reports. This filter page allows you to filter your report to your own user-defined peer group. The filter selections include degree, mode of delivery, curriculum, regions, cohort models, accreditation status, track, and then lastly, public-private school status. Once you've set your filter criteria and hit the submit button, the report on the right will generate. There are a few items I'd like to point out on this report. First, in the gray area at the top of the report, currently highlighted in yellow, will be the list of your filter selections. This way, if you decide to print or save the report, you will know what selections were made to generate the report. Second, at the bottom of the report, currently highlighted in orange, will be the list of programs that are used in the benchmark data. These programs are chosen based on the filter selections that you selected on the prior page. And lastly, highlighted in red is the print button where you can print the report or save it as a PDF. Now we are going to look at the report itself. As you know, lots of information is entered into the annual report. So the data contained in the C benchmarks report would be a lot to cover in this meeting. Therefore, I'm just going to highlight a few selections here and go into the details of what data calculations you are seeing. So first, looking at the report layout, as you expand each of the sections of the report, you will see the annual report fields in the left column currently highlighted in yellow. Next, highlighted in red here is your program's data for the years selected on the filter selection page. And then lastly, highlighted here in orange are the benchmarks of those programs contained in this report based on your filter selections. So the following data within this section is shown. You'll see 25th percentile, the median or 50th percentile, the 70th percentile, and lastly, the mean or the average of the numbers. So let's take a look now at a few specific sections. First, we'll take a look at the in-state tuition row of this report and dig into a little bit about how you can use this report. So shown in the dark gray boxes here are the in-state tuition for the program running the report. The 2023-2024 in-state tuition of this program is $47,700. Comparing this number to the benchmarks, this program falls about $7,000 above the median, but is almost right in line with the mean or average cost of tuition for their peer programs. Going back to the main slide, we will look at another section of the report within the graduated student satisfaction section, specifically the Net Promoter Score or NPS score. So this program had an NPS score of 88 in the 2022-23 year and an NPS score of 100 in the 2023-24 year. Based on the benchmark data, this program is doing exceptionally well. Both NPS scores are above the 75th percentile, which in this example is actually 75. Below the NPS score then is shown the reporting graduates and the percent of reporting graduates. The more important numbers to look at here are the percent of graduates reporting, as the number of reporting graduates can vary by program size. In this case, the program had an 89% response rate in 22-23 and a 57% response rate in 23-24. The prior year's response rate was excellent at 89%, falling close to 75th percentile. Whereas the most recent year's response rate has dropped somewhere between the 25th percentile and the 50th percentile of this program's peer group. Again, the goal of the C benchmarks report is for programs to be able to define a peer group of programs and then compare their program to that peer group. This will enable the program to identify strengths and areas for improvement. Next, we'll take a look at the C trend report. Again, back on the main page after logging into CARE, this report is also located within the C-suite dropdown along with the other reports. And the filter selections for C trends are the same as the page used for C benchmarks. Once you hit the submit button, the report on the right will be generated. This report will contain the same important selections that I highlighted in the C benchmarks, including the filter selections in yellow, the programs included in the report in orange, and the print save button in red. This report, however, also contains a set of charts at the top which show the filtered program characteristics. In this example, you can see the breakdown of those 124 programs by degree, mode of delivery, region, and private-public breakdown. Again, just like the C benchmark slide, I'm going to show you a few of the sections of the C trends report. You will notice that this report contains more visuals and some brief explanations within the sections of the trends. 3 sections shown here are the cost of degree, teaching and curriculum, and graduated student satisfaction. We will start by looking at the in-state tuition again. In this example, filter of the program selected, you can see a gradual increase in the cost of the in-state tuition over the last 3 years, going from $40,216 to $43,032. Now take a look again at the graduate student satisfaction section. We can see the average NPS score has remained mostly the same over the past 3 years, but our number of reporting graduates has significantly increased. You can use this report to see how your program's annual report data trend is looking compared to a user-defined peer group. The plan for the next year is to enhance this report, including adding an additional year of data, as well as showing your program's data for comparison. So within this webinar, now I've shown you how to compare your program's data to the data of a user-defined peer group through C benchmarks. And we've looked at how to review market trends for the same group. So what's next? In the next session, we will look at a new tool that CAHME is working on for programs to use AI-driven insights to identify opportunities for program improvement and strategic planning using the data from C-suite reports. So with that, be sure to register for our next session where we will also be showing our brand new report, C Peers, which we are very excited about. Email reminders for registration will follow, but you can also access registration information by going to www.cahme.org/events. And also for anyone who would like to watch or rewatch any of these C-suite webinars, you can access the recorded webinars by going to cahme.org, selecting media and events, and then clicking on webinars. And if you should have any questions regarding the CAHME annual report, the CAFE editor, or the C-suite reports, Michelle Petruccelli is the primary contact and I am the secondary contact. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us with any questions you may have. And with that, it is time for Q&A.
Thank you, everyone, for that. And Stacy, thanks for going through that presentation. As a reminder, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat, or I'll let you raise your hand and we can ask them directly. There was one question that came up that said, can we publish the data out in reports or in academic articles and the like? Are we able to take data from the C trends or the benchmarking tool and publish it? And Stacy, if you'd like to take a shot at answering this, if not, I can kind of address it too.
Sure. So we covered that a little bit in the prior webinar. And we talked a lot about the specific question and the data that's shown in these reports. And none of that can be done publishing of data unless you get CAHME permission first. So if you have any intention of doing something like that, reach out to Anthony or myself, and we can determine whether or not that is something that you could use.
Yeah, we do require express written consent. It's almost like we took the language from Major League Baseball, if you would. And the purpose of that is not to be mean or kind of distinguish, not allow information to be out there, but is the fact that CAHME has spent a lot of intellectual time and also resources to kind of pull this together. And also all of you have kind of contributed your data into this tool in a significant way. So to make that data available externally to CAHME would really kind of, put all of you at a little bit of a disadvantage because those programs would have access to, the benchmark data that we have. Now, we're not against publishing, and we think, there might be opportunities where we can do things with you or around that. So again, as Stacy said, contact either her or Michelle or myself, and we can kind of figure out how to kind of proceed with that. Are there?
Anthony, there was a question from Chris. Chris,
Got it.
you had asked why some of these reports would be grayed out and not available, specifically the top compare program. So the top compare program C peers will not be available until the following webinar. At that point, I'll open that one up for everyone who would qualify. And then if there's other ones that are not showing, I can take a look and see if there's any particular reason. And if not, then we'll turn them on for you. So we'll take a look at your program.
Yeah, we're holding the best to last. C peers is going to blow everyone away, what that tool can do. All right. Well, with that, I think we've got a couple good questions that are out there. If you think of more as time goes through, certainly email Stacy or Michelle, let them know. And again, thank you all for taking part of your Friday afternoon with us today to kind of review these tools. I'd be interested after you get to use them, just send a note about how you found them helpful. We'd like to hear that.